Hello, everybody, and welcome to your favorite Sunday sports stream. This is Point of View. I am Bobby Munson. Joining us momentarily will be Mark, but before he joins the chat, Andre, my man, how are you doing, brother? Thank you for being here as always. How's your weekend been, and how are you doing in general?
Weekend, really, this is the start of my weekend today. Like I work on Saturdays, so I work half the day Saturdays. So I got tomorrow off. This is the weekend where I get my Sunday and Monday off. So it's a good little time. Doing good. Been happy so far. I'm here now because of Friday night with the Habs actually staying alive in this series and bringing it 2-1. And
there is a chance. There is a chance.
I went to Peggy's house. I watched it there, and now I have to go back tonight to watch Game 4 because they can't win if I'm not at Peggy's now.
That's on. Is that this afternoon or is it tonight that they're in that one?
4:30 this afternoon, our time.
That's what I thought because I remember seeing
this
that.
Evening, it's all the same thing.
Yeah, but I mean, hey, at least you kickstart the playoff game at 4:30 in the afternoon, right in time for a good meal and everything like that too. Like, it's beautiful, beautiful timing, timing.
So one thing I do want to get into before we get really into the sports talk of the day is I got a photo of this morning of somebody who's going to be missing from the show today. This one right here.
Oh no,
he's not going to make it today because he is doing something pretty goddamn awesome that I know he's been training for, and he's doing his 10K today. SDG is running his 10K today. All the work he's been doing, he's been sending me pictures of his pass, of him running and everything. So just wanted to give him a big shout out here on the show. He is doing his 10K today, so that is why if this is you not being in the chat, I really wanted to just give him a big shout out here because it's sports. It's sports. So,
it is, and you know what? Yeah, SDG, great supporter of the show. Hopefully, he's going to watch this on replay. And SDG, congrats to you, brother. Go get her done. Awesome news. That's a beautiful way to start off a Sunday morning. I love that, Andre. We got Basser joining us, man. Speaking of people who I thought would be tired this morning, it's Bass. Him and Bass Jr. just woke up late night after the PPW show. It really was. And before I even talk about the PPW show itself, here's a funny story. So we had that triple threat ladder match last night, which was chaos in itself. And I'll tell you a little bit more about that in a bit. But there was broken ladders all over the damn place. And Bass and Bass Jr. were eyeballing one of the ladders up that was kind of in front of where they were after the match took place, and everyone's kind of leaving and everything. And Bass Jr. turns around to Big Bass here and says, hey, we should grab it or whatever. And so Bass, being the good dude that he is, he goes, no, I'm not going to just snag something like that. It's wrong of me to do. So he went up and he asked Crash Crimson if it was possible for them to take it as a bit of a memorabilia thing. And Crash gave him permission. And from there, last night, as I drove him home, we had a broken ladder in the back seat of my vehicle, along with the Bass boys, holding on to it for dear life, hoping that I didn't abruptly stop and some jagged piece of the ladder end up impaling them in the process. But yes, it made it home. It got back, and it is now, I'm assuming Bass is now hanging in the Bass Caver. Or what did Junior Bass call it yesterday? He called it the Bass Hall is what he said, and then Bass changed it to the Bass Hole. That was what it came down to.
Bass Hole. I love it. I'm down with the Bass Hole.
Yeah, it was so funny. We had such good chuckles, but man, that main event was chaos. And this because you know the people involved, Andre. Like, we had the Brotherhood, the Clandestine Society, and the Short Kings, PPW tag team titles on the line in a triple threat ladder match. I mean, the first thing we hear is the boys asking how many ladders are available tonight. And you knew right then, it's like, you guys are going to do some crazy ass shit that multiple ladders are probably getting broken. And there was bodies put through ladders. There was reverse hurricanranas off the top of the ladders. There was bodies dumped over the top ropes. It was nuts. There was a spike pile driver through one of the ladders that was wedged between another ladder and the ropes, which I'm sure you saw at LPW recently. That spot was reused again last night for our fans, and everybody going nuts. So that place was maybe the loudest I've ever heard it last night, kind of thing. Every time these guys would do something crazy, people were grabbing the barricades and they're shaking the barricades. They're chanting, holy shit. They're chanting, this is awesome. And they're loving every single second of that match. And in the end, this is even funnier because on Thursday night, we're talking about this, previewing it on Ring Respect. And Basser comes into the chat and says, do the Short Kings get a special ladder because of their height disadvantage, is what he said. So to give a picture of how this match ended, 4 ladders are broken. We've got 1 regular sized ladder left in the ring. The Short Kings were dumped into the crowd by the Brotherhood. We got the Clandestine Society now getting
Creed and who?
Creed and the Dixie Dragon.
Dragon.
Yeah.
He was the only one I wasn't familiar with.
Yeah, so it's looking like, it could go the way of new champs, because the Short Kings have all of a sudden they're gone. They were thrown into the audience and they were nowhere to be seen. They've been beaten all holy hell. You got the other 4 boys giving it inside the ring. Then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, you see the 2 Short Kings, Reed and Mars the Specialist, coming back with an extra tall ladder that they grabbed of their own. And they bring it back to the ring, as I believe the Clandestine Society were up on the actual ladder, the other ladder. They get them dumped over, and the Short Kings managed to get to the top of the ladder. They ended up retaining. And yes, that was how it was. And Joe Henry, good morning. Good morning to you, Brian Carter. How are you doing today?
I don't see him. Where is he?
Yeah, I didn't believe hard enough is what it comes down to right there. But actually, you know what?
I believe in Joe Henry every single day when I wake up.
Let's see if I can get a good image of this right here for you guys. So it's going to be tough to tell, but that is the bass hole. And that is the broken hanging on the wall beside a Prairie Pro Wrestling t-shirt in the bass hole right there. They have officially made it their wrestling memorabilia man cave of sorts kind of thing. And yes, we got Hannah Clark in the chat. Good morning. And from your husband as well, too, I'm assuming that is. But thank you for joining us. Really appreciate it here on Point of View. We are still waiting for the arrival of Marty. He's disappeared on us, Andre. Like he was all in.
He said he had all this stuff he wanted to talk about, and then he
just
leaves.
I know.
He just leaves during the intro and just like, God, I guess we got to do everything without him today.
I mean, I'm sure we could carry the show. I'm sure it wouldn't be impossible, but I do believe I'm really thinking that Mark will probably make an appearance here sooner rather than later. We shall be seeing him soon. We will be talking about that NFL draft. We're going to be talking about the Stanley Cup playoffs. There's a whole lot to talk about in the world of English football, aka soccer, as well too. Yes, that is one of the topics he's going to be mentioning. Don't worry about that.
The only thing I know about soccer. The only thing I know about soccer.
I'm sure you know what the ball looks like.
English football. It's the only thing I know. But yeah, but it's the only thing I follow in it, because again, I started watching the TV show and everything. So I look forward to the new season of Welcome to Wrexham. I know that for sure. Wow. The next new season coming out soon is gonna be great.
Just wait until you watch what happens to them next season, because as much as people talk like the Premier League is one of the toughest leagues in the world, and it is one of the hardest leagues to get out of, other than going back down, is the Championship, which is the division just below the Premier League. It is so competitive in that division that it is very difficult for a team to get the promotions that Wrexham's been doing. Doesn't matter how much money you try to throw at it. That division is so incredibly competitive. And keeping in mind that you're going to have the 3 bottom teams from the Premier League that come down. And despite the fact that their time in the Premier League this season wasn't good, them coming into the Championship, that they're going to retain at least some quality players that were at the quality of being in the Premier League as they go down that division. And they use that to try to get themselves to bounce back up. Oh, sorry. Brian says the challenge for Wrexham is that the next tier is where everyone loses. There we go. Yeah, great mention there from Brian as well too.
You also have to look at Wrexham. Like, they were losing money from the beginning when they purchased a team. They were losing money for the first 3 seasons of it. So they only just started making profit this past year in League One. Right? I don't think they're in profit yet. They're just not losing as much money as they were. But because again, when they failed to get promoted the year they bought them, already lost them enough money, and then it took them a bit, and then you know what I mean. So again, you already have the owners that are piling in a bunch of money who are already losing money as it is to move up. So it's only a positive for them again, and everybody yells. It's like, oh, they spent all this money. It's like, okay, but I would say the same thing for Reading. If Reading was down in, or your team, if Manchester United, I want to say your team, if Man U is down in League Two, wouldn't you want a brand new owners to spend a shit ton of money to get them up to the back up and in shit? Like,
not if it was at the expense of having that dirty Canadian Ryan Reynolds on the side. Oh, look who's finally made his way into the chat. Look at this. Let's see. Hold on.
Hi, Mark.
There we go.
I'm like royally fucked up at the moment.
That microphone working yet? Hello.
Oh, I don't know what's going on. I can't hear anything. I can't see anything. Everything that I need.
I love you, Mark. Did you hear that?
I heard that. I can hear.
That's what it took. That's what it took.
Normally, I can hear myself through my microphone, and it makes it easier for me to understand how close or far away I need to be away from the mic. I can't hear shit, so I don't know.
I'm the same. I can never hear myself. So
I'm like, it's off-putting. But anyway, where were we?
We were just kind of in the conversation about Wrexham because Andre decided to flash the picture of them going up, and then I was calling Ryan Reynolds a dirty Canadian, and
he's a good lad.
No, he's not.
Yeah, he's all right.
No, he's not. He's a lying sack of shit, and I don't want to get into it, but he can. I hope he immigrates somewhere else and never comes back.
Well, that's you. So
that's you.
The thing with Wrexham is they're getting plaudits for something that they shouldn't. They're getting plaudits for saying this is a miracle. This is something which it is. It's unprecedented. It's never been done before in English Football League history, having a team winning 3 back-to-back promotions. The thing that you need to caveat with that, though, they've got Disney behind them. They had a sponsorship with TikTok. They've had sponsorship with some of the largest American companies in the world. Not only that, they've had, I think, Expedia at one point, one of the largest booking of holidays was there. You don't get that outside of the Premier League. They also announced later on that earlier this year that they generated over £35 million worth of revenue. That's never been done outside of the Premier League in the history. That much amount of money. The maximum it was before that, I think, if I remember correctly, was around about 15 to 20 million. And that was to a relegated side back before there was parachute payments. We're talking 10 plus years ago when they sold nearly basically the whole of their team to keep afloat for the next season. It's one of those situations where Ryan, Rob, Blake, they were there yesterday because I watched it live. They were all there and they were all getting celebrated, and rightly so. The Wrexham was stuck in the Vanarama National League. Yeah, Vanarama National League for 11 years because of poor ownerships, and then they also had
they had or something like that. They were saying when the first
it was between that time. It was half of people's lives they were stuck in there, and then to get back to back promotions. Going out of the Vanarama National League and being champions on record points and going into League Two is fine. It's easy, okay? It's not a massive difference between League Two and League and Vanarama National League football. There is a bit of difference between Sky Bet League Two and Sky Bet League One football. But the toughest, I don't see Wrexham getting out of the Championship for at least 3 years, at least.
No, I don't either.
That's if they hold in there. That's the thing. It's like going to the Championship. They still have to not get relegated. They'll probably be fine. But you can imagine one bad turn, one bad season, one injury to a key player could mess it up for them, right?
Yes.
Good morning, Bobby.
Morning, Bobby. Yes and no. They've had injury problems this season with Paul Mullin and Ollie Palmer being out injured. Then they brought Reading striker Sam Smith, who scored yesterday, and he's been scoring for them. They've got the luxury that not a lot of teams have, where if they have a problem, they can fix it very quickly by spending money. And they're building some of the best academy. They need to get better with their academy to do better with that and to be sustainable long term. But this is not a massive. It's like how do I put this? I can't think of America. It's like the New York Yankees, right? Let's think of it like this, right? New York Yankees. They'll have 2 or 3 years where they're crap, and then when they win it, everyone go, "Oh my god, they're the greatest thing ever." No, they threw money at it. They threw money at everything.
So they're essentially like Manchester City then.
Yeah, but any team
and no. Yeah, go on.
But any team that's down that low, if you you're lucky enough to get a benefactor to come in and purchase your team, the easiest way out is to spend your money. So you can't get mad at them for spending money.
It's not the easiest way. We've seen so many. Look at Bolton that are currently playing in League One. They did that.
The first season. Fastest way.
It's the hardest way. It's to throw money at it. Because you're not buying a team, you're buying individual players. The one thing I would say slightly thankful for, which I am, is Reading not allowed to buy anyone, because we've had to bring in players that want to play football, that don't matter if they don't get paid, that they're going to turn up on a Tuesday and then a Saturday and then a Tuesday and then a Saturday for about 4 weeks in a row, where you'll have minimum training, minimum time to recover, and you go out there and you put 100% in. And we have no depth, right? We've beat Wrexham. We're unbeaten against them. We beat them comfortably when they come to our stadium. It's the same with Birmingham City. They spent over £40 million on players this season, which is more than every single bar Wrexham. If you go from, there's 24 teams in League One. If you put 22 teams together of the transfers money they spent, still doesn't come to enough of what Birmingham have done. And they were crowned champions. That's because they've got the old Tom Brady money. And he's invested in there. They lost in a cup final recently. And then they did this weird American shit where when they went to collect their runners-up medals, the owner made all the players stand around him while he was talking to them. And and people were like, America's like, oh yeah, this is what they do. Us over here, what the fuck are you doing? Let the players go. Why are you making it about yourself, you bellend?
That almost makes me think of recently with the Europa League and Man United going into the second half of overtime there, and Amarim's getting out his board and he's writing down plays on his board, and they're like, "What is this? An American football match? What's he doing? Running through certain specific plays with them?" He goes, "Yeah, just send them out there. They're getting all riled up about this whole thing."
It's an interesting, because I've got a long list of things that I wanted to talk about today, but Wrexham and Birmingham were one of them. Yeah, go on.
Just to that point of the Americanization of it all, because again, it's become a lot of this stuff's become far more popular over here too, right? With more TV rights, I think. So again, a lot of these things are playing to. Look at F1 starting to play to America more because they're trying to get a better foothold in there with how certain things they've done with things. Which I don't care, but you know what I mean. And again, you're seeing it in multiple sports coming from the rest of the world that they're placating a certain fan base, which is like, are you dumb?
Yeah. Don't ruin footy. Don't ruin footy with bringing in anything American on it.
So they've been doing it recently.
Oh, I know.
The FA Cup final. Is it the FA Cup final that they're thinking of doing halftime entertainment? The Champions League final, they're definitely bringing in a pre-match and halftime entertainment. And I'm like, because I remember There was a Champions League final, and it was in Paris, and it was Liverpool versus someone. I want to say it was against Tottenham or it was against Real Madrid. I'm not sure which one it was, but Carmela Cabello did the pre-game entertainment, and they had to turn the crowd noise off because they were booing her. Both fans come together to boo the pre-match and halftime entertainment because they're like, no, don't do this. And then they're also bringing in this new tournament now at the end of the FIFA Club World Cup that they're bringing in now that's going to be coming in the summer. And the only reason they're doing that is because, one, that there's no football on over the summer. Two, that they want to challenge the NFL for viewing rights in America because it's in America. They want to challenge and go to American TV shows and go, look, you have the NFL, you may have a certain amount of people, but here's how many we're bringing around the world. And it's like, when are we going to think about the players at this point? Like,
Yeah.
they've been playing. If we take
international club tournaments, regular club games, like now these preseasons plus all these other cups, the European Cup, everything is there's no time off, and then we wonder why the injuries get stacked up.
And I look at it from an American or North American, I'm not American, but a North American sport fan perspective. We don't get me wrong, as an NHL fan, we have a long season with 82 games, so our off season's only 3 months, right? Yeah, again, and I'm not arguing that. It's just what it's always been for us. But we don't other than like Spengler Cup and stuff. But that in those things, but that happens like during the playoffs. So like you get like playoff eliminated teams like Spengler Cup. I think it's a Spengler Cup, and it's ever in Europe. But you get these they're playing during the playoffs though. This tournament. It's rare we see any hockey tournaments in the summer. It's rare, and in the NFL, they don't do shit outside of preseason and the regular season and playoffs. So it's like I look at them go, I feel bad for fucking. And then if you look at the NBA, their summer league is all developmental guys, and like they're guys like they're young. You might get some guys who are playing in the NBA, but it's the guys who are in their first like 1-2 seasons. Getting extra reps in the summer league, but like it's too much.
Yeah, and that's usually how footy is too. Like the preseason is usually your opportunity to play newly purchased players and to get your youth out there to see who might be somebody that you'll consider having on the bench this season, kind of thing. But to keep putting these players through hell, like you're not going to put a cup on the line of FIFA Club Cup and have the teams come in, and you're going to be like, all right, 17-year-olds, have at it. Like, no, this is going to be...
You say that. Have you heard what Pep Guardiola said? He turned around and he said, right, I want everyone to get their wives, their girlfriends, their children's. I want your mothers, your fathers, and I want everyone to book hotels for 2 weeks while we're there. We're going to do minimum training. You lot are going to do all the relaxing, go to the pool, go and have barbecues, do whatever you want, minimal training. All I want is you turn up for a match, you play the game, go home. He goes, we're not taking this seriously. He goes, you've lot of worked way too much and done all of that to get to where we are now. And I think Pep's completely right. And I want to drag this in. I'm going to drag this in the same thing here with the topic on boxing, because this was one of the topics I wanted to discuss about today. Was there has been a massive issue over the past couple of days about rules that are happening in boxing. So I'm going to quickly do a quick brief about why I'm asking the question about fitness. Well, what happened was Chris Eubank Jr. was fighting Conor Benn recently, and he got overweight. And then he got fined $500,000 for being overweight. But because he was overweight, there is a rehydration clause in the boxer's contract, meant that they can only gain a certain amount of weight after the weigh-in, which means that they had to choose between drinking water or eating food. And is there so there was this, because if you looked at what happened was Chris Eubank Jr. has had this big issue with Chris Eubank Sr. them two not getting along. Chris Eubank Sr. turned up like a WWE superstar last night, coming back to return like the Undertaker when Chris Eubank Jr. got out of the car. Senior then walked out, and I was waiting, and I saw someone tweet going, "I've watched wrestling too much, waiting for Chris Eubank Sr. walk in the ring with a chair and stab his son in the back and then walk out." I was like, that is like the perfect description of what wrestling's doing to my brain. But there was a fight. The reason why this fight was happening in the first place was Chris Eubank Sr. fought Conor Benn's dad in 1970, and Chris Eubank Sr. winning in the 9th round. Chris Eubank Jr. won last night, 116 to 112, an unanimous decision from all the judges. The question I have for both of you is, do you think, just like boxing, because that rehydration clause should never have been in there in the first place? I hate that. No. Not letting someone rehydrate before a fight is mental in my mind. And they can't get the weight back on what they need to. Are we in a world now where people are so fixated on making money that they're not thinking about the athletes themselves and what can be done to help them? That boxing question's for all the sports.
I have a perfect example, and it steps out of boxing into the UFC. That is a pure point of one, make money and don't care about the. If you look at what they're paid, they don't get any revenue sharing, things like that. And the UFC is making the most money it's ever made in history. It's pulling in $20+ million gates at the T-Mobile Arena. That was $10 million at the T-Mobile Arena for a fight night card. Yeah. For a fight night card. That's not even a UFC like pay-per-view pricing scale. So yeah, the money just all around sports that they're doing, at least with like NFL, NBA, NHL. I don't know if there's a players association over in soccer, but there are players associations here where these guys get a percentage of there's a percentage of the TV deals go to the players association, which gets distributed among the players, which they make money. So that if the NFL gets a bigger TV rights, that's a bigger percentage going to the players. There's profit sharing. Look at pro wrestling for all those years, as all of us watched. There was a time where these guys, they didn't make the money they make now. They make good money now, but there's the time where these guys made scrounge for money. And do you think the promoters cared? Not really. Like I truly don't think so. It was all like, especially the biggest, the man who shall not be named anymore. But yeah, and the hydration clause thing. I'm not as familiar with that because I'm not a big boxing guy. I was more UFC. And I know there, if you missed weight, it was just a 20%. You lost 20% of your purse or your money, and if you were not eligible for bonuses, you couldn't get a win bonus, you couldn't get a performance bonus, so you couldn't make extra. I know in UFC, and you lose 20% of your pay. But yeah, that's stupid. But yeah, the money thing is just it's getting crazy that some of these people, and now the UFC wants to get into boxing. You think theirs is going to be any better? Fuck no.
It's going to be interesting. But Bobby, you're a man that gets behind this. What's your thinking?
Again, like this can go outside of sports too. I mean, how many people will go to work when they're sick, when they're hurt, anything like that, because they're not being offered the right compensation to get better. And so they have to put food. Like, it's a little different in sports. I mean, your contracts are fairly high that if you can't put food on your plate, then you're doing something wrong with your money management and stuff like that. But at the same time, there's no need to be forcing yourself to the point of exhaustion, dehydration, all these kinds of things when it comes to sports. Now, I'm an advocate for the idea that a person, like when you talk about food versus water, that you can technically live for quite a long period of time on just water. Water fasting is very plausible, but not if you're a sports person. And the reason I say that is because water fasting is for a decrease in weight, but you're also going to decrease your energy. So if you try to do that when you're into sports, you're going to put yourself in jeopardy or at higher risk of serious injury and going into the sport than you would if you were to eat and stuff. And so if they're avoiding eating in order to cut weight or whatever, or make weight, it's not good for them anyway, kind of thing. So you're better off, in my opinion, just to be over and not get those bonuses and think about your own health than you would otherwise. I even recall back to when I was wrestling in high school and stuff like that. Like, you had to make weight. So at least a week before there was a big meet or something like that, a lot of the times the coaches were very adamant on, you're not eating breads this week. You're not eating like the certain types of foods, no high fat foods, anything like that.
Yeah, lots of
basically
food, right?
Lots of fruits and vegetables at best, kind of thing, and only certain portion sizes of them, and only drinking water. Now, for myself personally, I just so happened that I was a bigger guy and my weight category had a bigger span, and I was at the lower end of that weight category. So I had two options: either stick to that weight category or suffer myself through hell in order to try to drop from there, and then be at the risk of not making weight the day of a show to be in one category lower. So I stuck with my category and everything like that, but I still followed, like, when I was going to meets, because again, like, anybody who's done sport, especially combat sport, if you go in with a heavy belly into a combat sport, you will probably be looking at what you put into your body within the first few minutes of doing it, kind of thing. Because between the cardio and the impact on your actual body, it gets to you, and it gets to you really, really fast. Like, I know, Andre, you mentioned pro wrestling. I mean, it's another thing. Like, when I went and did bumps for the, when I did them and stuff like that, I went in knowing that what kind of impact that has on the body and stuff like that, and what would happen if I came in after eating a full breakfast and then decided I was going to do some cardio and bumping on a pro wrestling thing. So I was okay, but there was at least, and every time we take on new classes of people, there is no less than one or two people that didn't think that through before they get there. 5 minutes in, it's, where's the nearest garbage pail? And as soon as they're done at the garbage pail, they just tuck their tail between their legs and we never see them again. Good.
I'm the same way.
Think it through.
It's the same way when I work out. Before I go to the gym, like, I'm going to the gym after this, so I didn't eat. Like, I had a couple yogurts and a piece of toast. Yeah, and I had a Rice Krispie. I shouldn't have had that, but that was, again, not heavy. But again, it's not heavy. I don't eat heavy before I go to the gym because I want something to get into my system, so I have something in there. But again, I don't want to make myself sick because you're overworking. You're jostling things. It doesn't work. Even just at the gym, it just does. You can't be full. You can't do that. And again, when you see, like, I remember years ago when Roy Nelson, big chubby dude, big old chubby dude. He used to fight in the UFC. I think it was Roy Nelson. He was very much the opposite of that. He would, like, he didn't worry about making weight because he was, like, in that point where he was like 240, 250 in the heavyweight category, which is a 265. So, and he said back then he would go in, but he would just eat whatever he wanted during the week. But in the last couple of days, you lean down on, you go to lean meats, you go to the light foods, because even for a big dude who didn't have to worry about it, you just don't, because you can't do that.
The only time you load up heavily and stuff like that, like when you're talking about gym stuff and everything, is that the guys who want to put on heavy, guys or girls. So let me be straight with this. Anybody who wants to put on heavy muscle and stuff like that, they will eat high levels of protein and lots of high levels of protein. So you will see them scarfing back eggs and steaks and bacons and all these guys. Like, I mean, usually with bacon, it's a turkey bacon because it's a leaner protein, chicken and stuff like that. But they will heavily load up with these things on gym days, because when they go there, that protein can turn to muscle. You turn it all to muscle in that process and stuff like that. So that's when you see the really big bodybuilder types and stuff like that. And they will eat ridiculous amounts of food and everything like that in order to be able to keep that mass on, or to be able to put it on at the gym. It's a crazy world. And I mean, going back to what Mark said, it's like, we run the risk of the expectations being so high that these people put themselves in jeopardy by not taking their health seriously, because at the end of the day, the money seems to be worth more than what their long-term, and that's the thing, long-term health. The immediate health maybe it's something they can get over quickly, but the long-term effects on the body over time are what's really going to destroy them. And that's where, to Mark's point, I think we put too much expectation on these professional sports players, and that's why they do this. So, Mark, back to you. I know you got a lot to cover, man. So let's have it.
No. So I'm going to do quickly a couple of things. So one positive and one negative for this. I want to say congratulations to the England women's rugby team for winning the Women's Six Nations, which will give them a little bit more momentum going into the Women's Rugby World Cup, which will be held over here in England in August. The negative side is there has been a press come out recently from a former England women's player called Eni Aluko. If you don't know who Eni Aluko is, please do not search it. She is horrific. As a pundit and as a footballer, she was one of the most. She did one of the most talked about interviews recently, talking about the women's game over here in the UK, as she criticised a certain Ian Wright. Now, if you don't know who Ian Wright is, Ian Wright over here is a national treasure. He is on God tier of people over here in the UK. Like, if you criticise Ian Wright, you need to criticise him for a very good reason. But she criticised him, saying that he was taking opportunities away from women in the media of the women's sport, which is completely and utterly false. Not only has she come out and said that, she said that he does nothing but take away, when actually it has also come out during that time that Ian Wright is currently paying for at least 4 or 5 players in the top division to the lower division that have been injured playing for a professional football club, and that football club will not pay for their rehab. So he's been paying it out of his own money for them. She
What
has
a terrible
come out
person.
No. She has
her for sure.
Yeah, Eni Aluko, very much so. She has come out on social media and apologized to Ian Wright for the comments. But she stands by the fact, when actually at the same time women are taking opportunities in the men's sport. But it's not okay for Ian Wright, who does more about the women's sport than anyone else, to do the same thing. Utterly ridiculous twat. She has come out and apologized to Ian Wright. Ian Wright has made a video. Go and check out on his Instagram if you haven't already, where he said he sees what she put, but he rejects her apology. He does not want to listen to her. She has not publicly apologized to him. She's just done a general post online. So he has come out with that. I will get into the football section, which there is a lot to discuss, doing a whole Football League roundup, because we're going into the final weekend next weekend of the round action. But I want to ask Andre one quick question, and that is about the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix, which was last weekend. Oscar Piastri winning the race after Max Verstappen got a 5-second time penalty. Should have been more.
I agree.
In there as well for what happened in the first corner. I'm shocked Max Verstappen didn't leave room. And then when someone else doesn't, they don't help him. Oh, I'm completely and utterly shocked. Look at my face. I am completely and utterly shocked. So far this season, we've had 4 different winners this season so far. You could say 5 out of 7 if you class the sprint race as well. Your thoughts on the first 5 races of the season, and then I'll give mine.
Dude, I've really enjoyed this season. Was it race 4? I found very boring. It wasn't boring, but but overall, because again, we've had different winners. It's been, because it's not just one person. Like, I know Norris has won, Piastri's won, Verstappen's won. Again, it's nice to see the difference in this, to see lower teams are more competitive this year. Like, looking at Williams, looking at Haas, I'm like, because you're looking at those 2 teams who have been bottom 3 for so long, and seeing Williams actually having essentially 2 top end drivers driving for them right now, for Sainz and Albon, showing just how good he truly is. In, like, I've loved this season of F1. It's been one of the best ones I've watched since I started watching a few years ago, and it was cool seeing the dominance of the rise of Max into his dominance, which is coming out of Lewis's dominance, rising into Max's dominance. But now we're seeing the rise of McLaren. But it's not like just pure dominance like we've seen in other leagues. They're dominating, but there's it's competitive, and I like that it's still competitive. It's just Red Bull has a serious problem not having a number 2 driver right now.
Yes, because their car's crap. Because if you look at it, there's only one driver that could do it. You've had 3 drivers, maybe 4, you could say, that have gone teammates with Max Verstappen, and still they couldn't do it. And the only last time that they won the constructors was when Max Verstappen decided to win every single race on his own, and there was no other way of anyone.
Whoa! Give it to Checo, dude. He was number 2. He was like number 2 or 3 overall in the driver's standing. Give it to Checo, though. He had a great season that year. Like Checo had a couple really great seasons before last season and kind of bombed off. He was placing 2nd, 3rd, 4th in majority of his races for a couple of years.
I will give him credit for what he did before Red Bull. I will not give him credit for what he did at Red Bull, but I will give him credit of what an excellent driver he was before he turned up at Red Bull. He was sensational driver when he was doing other teams. He did okay, but then you could just tell that the car was
second in the Drivers' Championship in 2023 isn't good.
No, not with how far ahead that the number 1 driver was.
And number 3 in 2022.
And again, you had the number 1 driver. How far ahead was he of number 3?
I know, but it's still like.
But if you look,
he was the best number. He's the best number 2 that Red Bull has seen.
No, he's not.
Daniel was not good.
No, Mark Webber's the best. Mark Webber's the best number 2 that Red Bull
of the Verstappen era. He's been the best number 2 of the Verstappen era.
You can say Daniel Ricciardo was
margins.
Ricciardo, you can say
didn't even touch Checo.
Ricciardo did a heck of a lot better than what Checo did during his career when Verstappen and Ricciardo were together. Ricciardo made the massive mistake of leaving when there was prime opportunity for him to stay. That was fully on Ricciardo. Ricciardo could have been a world champion if he stayed. He could have got that underneath him, but he just didn't like competition. He found the competition when he went to Renault. He lost competition when he went to McLaren. He couldn't do anything when he went back to what they call now Racing Visa Cash App Racing Bulls, wherever they're called, the second team of Red Bull. That Daniel Ricciardo is it was better than Checo during the first stint. Checo was good, but then you've got to be the comparison. And I think someone did a comparison. If you tally up all the other drivers between the 2 teams and every other team between that, was still a massive gap compared to the gap that Max Verstappen had on Checo. That's because Red Bull have made the biggest, worst decision of their careers, and that's fully getting behind 1 driver and not 2. Max is a great driver. One of the best, will go down as probably in the top Mount Rushmores of all time of Formula 1 drivers. He might. There's others.
It's the same. It's the same way people get mad at Tom Brady. Yes, you hate him, but he's one of the great. He's the greatest quarterback to ever play. I'm not saying Max is the greatest racer to have raced, but he's in that top echelon of great racers.
He's the greatest driver in this generation.
Yeah, and you can't deny how good he is and of a racer he is. Because
no, you can't. Yeah. But what you've got to look at as well at the same time, Lewis Hamilton's still around, and Lewis Hamilton is the greatest driver of all time. You've got Michael Schumacher, who is also one of the greatest drivers of all time. You've got Ayrton Senna. You've got Prost. You've got Vettel. You've got loads of others that I think are better than Max.
Greatest Canadian driver ever, Jacques Villeneuve.
Jacques Villeneuve, who won, is the only Formula 1. You've also got Nicholas Latifi and Lance Stroll, other Canadian drivers that still. Oh, by the way, talking of Canadian drivers, just going to put this tidbit in now. Lance Stroll now holds the record for most amount of races without scoring a podium, and that's 75.
Mm-hmm. That's insane. The guy has been in F1 this long, has never top 3'd ever. That is insane.
Yeah. It's ridiculous. I know,
but he is the better. This season he has proved right now he's the better driver on his team.
But isn't that sort of comparing which shit is better? Which you've got 2 shits. Which shit is better? It's one of those things at the moment. 100%. I'm going to do a quick football roundup. I'm going to go through 3 divisions on this, and then we're going to get into why Andre messaged me at 5:00 in the fucking morning on Discord, screaming at me on Discord when I woke up. And then when I said, why? And I said, well, that's great because I just woke up. He went, why are you not more happy by still shouting?
You put a laughing emoji on my thing. Why the hell would you put a laughing emoji?
Because I was not expecting that. It made me laugh, and I just woke up. It was 5 o'clock in the morning that I saw this. But right, quickly now, Liverpool are currently trying to become the 20th time league champions, tying with Manchester United with most amount of league wins. They are currently playing Tottenham, and they are 1-0 down in that match. Tottenham have just scored by Dominic Solanke corner. There is a question that I want to ask Bobby before I get into the other Football League roundup regarding football. And this was a conversation I was having with my brother the other day. Situation with the Premier League and Championship. And the reason why it arises is because the situation raises questions about the Premier League. As Leicester, Southampton, Ipswich have all been relegated from the Premier League. This now comes as the third consecutive year that 3 promoted clubs have instantly been relegated. There is an issue that's becoming between the Championship and Premier League and promoted sides to try and stay up. There is a big issue. How would you resolve this? Because I have an idea, but I don't know. I don't know if it can be done.
Again, I mean, you could sit there and say throw money at it. I don't think money's going to fix it because money never seems to fix anything.
Well, by the way, I will say this: it was Ipswich did spend 150 million on transfers, and then they were still. That's the issue.
Exactly. That's what I'm getting at. I don't know. I'm curious to hear your idea because I don't know that there's a magical definite like this is going to work and this is going to make it better. But I mean, Jesus, like, yeah, that's quite consecutively that those teams go up and go right back down kind of thing. So I don't know.
My idea of it is scrap parachute payments. Because the people that are getting relegated are instantly going back up. Look at Leeds United. We're going to get into that in a minute. But there's the common themes of teams that have been relegated are always in the top 3 or 4 in the Championship. That needs to be scrapped. I think the payments of financial fair play needs to be distributed more to the bottom end than it does need to be to the top end. And I think as well that there has to be a way of with transfers being more friendly towards promoted sides than it does need to be to the top end. I think if you look at Ipswich, they had one of the best runs ever, back-to-back promotions, first team to do that in a long time, from League One to the Premier League in 2 seasons. Then you've also got the teams like Southampton who have played their way through the Championship quite easily and then got promoted. And then you've also got the team that also have been relegated as well. I can't even think of the fucking team one. I think Leicester as well. They won the Premier League a few years back, but because of financial fair play, they then had to get relegated. Now they can't recover from that. I think that there's a bigger issue here that generating income to the lower teams is stopping them from really giving a go at it. And I think that there's a problem with the way the Premier League and Championship I think there's a fundamental issue with the EFL anyway. I can't stand the EFL, and that's a team that's in League One. I think the way that they prioritize the bigger teams than they do the smaller teams, they couldn't give a fuck about the little man, but they want to tickle every ball that they can with the big clubs. It's sort of becoming a bit of annoyance.
Well, and I mean, clearly they do it because of the fact that obviously there's more eyes on certain teams, which I'm not saying it's right. Don't get me wrong. I'm just trying to say from their perspective, that's probably why they're doing it, but not that it makes it right. And it doesn't fix the problem. That's the other thing. It doesn't fix the problem.
And if you think about it as well, next season is going to be unbearable with how much coverage Wrexham are going to get. As they're so close, it is going to be unbearable over here, I can tell you. But I'm going to quickly move on from that. Burnley, I want to say congratulations to Burnley and Leeds, who have secured their promotion back to the Premier League, and they will determine who will be the champions on the final day, with Burnley currently sitting first, 2 points ahead of Leeds United. We're going down to the final day of the season next week, and we have got Bristol City, Coventry, Millwall, Blackburn and Middlesbrough, who will be fighting for the final 2 playoff places in the Championship. Unfortunately, Cardiff and Plymouth, Cardiff are relegated, Plymouth are basically down because of goal difference. But who will go down with them to League One? Will it be Hull City, who are currently managed by the former Reading manager who left us in December to go to them? Luton Town, who just got relegated from the Premier League. Preston North End, who have been in the Championship for about 12 years, and that's not a joke. Derby County or Stoke City. Some former big boys there could also be going down as well. I'm going to go down now to League One. We discussed Wrexham with that, but I'm now going to give a quick update regarding Reading Football Club. There was a post that was put out on Tuesday where we have now agreed a deal with Rob Couig. There's a lot of talk that the deal has now been signed. We do have a new owner, American owner. Please do not make us American that much, please. At this point, I wouldn't care. From that, and then he's waiting for all of the investors to fly over to do a group photo. I've been told as well. But he's been in the training. I have got a source that has told me that he is in the training ground and has signed the documents, which is great to see. I won't believe it until I see the post, and then I've got drunk 3 days straight because we've got a new owner. I also want to say a big shout out to the father-in-law. On Tuesday, Reading under-18s played West Ham, under-18s in the Premier Division Cup, where we're the only team outside of the Premier League to be in that cup. We unfortunately lost, but my daughter went to that and she cried because she hasn't been to a cup final before, and she saw us lose and saw the other team lift the trophy. She cried, and I told her, "Welcome to Reading. You're going to continue crying because that's what Reading do to you." So I was like, "Welcome to sport, love."
A Wrexham fan. Next thing you know, she's a Wrexham fan.
I'm
joking.
Yeah, she will be in foster care by then. And then adoption, everything. Also, I want to say, continuing with League One as well. It's going down to the final day of the season for the final relegation position. Could be going down to League Two. It's between Bristol Rovers, Crawley, and Burton Albion. Burton Albion have the current advantage. Bristol Rovers, they've got a negative goal difference, really badly negative goal difference. So it looks like them and Crawley could be going down. Liverpool have just scored to make it 2-1, which means that if it stays like this, Liverpool will be crowned champions. But I want to do, just before we get on to the NHL, I want to give a special mention to a League Two club called Port Vale. They were absolutely tremendous for Reading football last season. When we were doing our protest, we called a game off. It was against Port Vale. They were so understanding. They joined in the protest with us by clapping and getting behind us. We then, a lot of our fans, especially myself, funded for one of their legends to have a statue to be made at their ground, which was then commissioned and built. They have just got promoted back to League One, and it's amazing to see some unbelievable clubs like Port Vale that don't have the money, don't have the backing or anything like that, and are able to do a very low budget and work their way back up into League One. So great to see them.
So as I look at the table right now, Reading still has a shot at getting into the into the playoffs.
Okay. Yes, so it goes down to the final day of this. So Saturday, 3 p.m. If you guys can watch it over there in the US, Canada, please do. Might see me on TV going, hello. But it's between us and Saturday coming. Yeah, this Saturday coming. 3 p.m. UK time. But what I want to say is we've got a comment here just specifically for Bobby.
Ed saying can't stick around. Hello, Ed. Below everyone, sad to see that LS Casino didn't wreck Munson. The Pats have had a great offseason, and there's hope for a short playoff run next year. Yeah, LS Casino wishes he could get his greasy paws on me, but for 8 years, I've been giving him the slip because he's all talk, no action. Don't get me started, Ed. We're over that already. Bobby's thoughts on the 3 highest WWE matches of the weekend being all the triple threats. Yeah, well, kiss the right part of my ass. That's false. That main event triple threat was garbage. Anyway, moving on. Back to what we were talking about.
Okay. Okay. I will say this: the bet for me.
We're not doing wrestling talk. We're not doing wrestling talk.
Best match was El Grande versus Ray Phoenix.
El Grande Americano, the best wrestler that's come out of the Gulf of America. Just saying. Anyway, carrying on. It goes down to the final day of the season. It's between Leyton Orient and Reading, both on the same points, but they have a better goal difference than us at this precise moment. The only way for us to finish in the playoff position would be that we have to do better than what Leyton Orient do. If Leyton Orient draw, we have to win. If they lose, the minimum we can do is draw. Is to get into that final playoff place. We've got Barnsley.
You have to beat them in points now. The only way to get there.
There's no way unless we score about 20 goals and they score 1 to win 1-0 and we get way more goals than what we need, then that's the only other way we can do it. Going into the final day, so we've got to be playing Barnsley. We've beaten them already this season. Hopefully, we can do it then. They've got Huddersfield, which we're hoping Huddersfield do us a favour after fucking us over in that playoff final that year, which was the most boring playoff final in existence, and it has been voted that as well, where it went to penalties and we lost. So I'm hoping for good luck for us. I will be in the stadium. I will be on here the next day, either crying because we didn't get it done. Even actually, I don't care if we get it done or not. This has been an unbelievable season. We've got way further ahead than probably what we should have, but it's going to be a nice, fun day, I hope.
Bobby, how would I watch a Reading game here?
Do you not have the Championship or League? Because I know on Sky that we have the Sky Sports Plus that you can watch all the games live. I'm not sure how you do it abroad.
You know what? I think I can't. It's the.
You would need something illegal.
There's so many different deals here in Canada for different cups, different divisions, different this, different that, for what it streams on. To be honest with you, just go find it online. I hate to promote pirating, but Jesus Christ, in order for me to be able to watch every game of Manchester United throughout a season, I'd have to have 5 different streaming networks, and it's disgusting. Give me a channel that shows just the one. Bob Slows, that was a very wild BPW show last night. If you get a chance, brother, rewind to the beginning here. I went in depth about that crazy ladder match and how Bass and Bass Jr. took home a broken ladder in my car last night that's now hanging on their wall. But
right,
yeah,
Andre.
anyway, guys, we got 2 big topics. I think we should probably get to them here soon.
Andre, why are you messaging me at 5 o'clock in the morning?
Because we won. It wasn't 5 in the morning for me.
You won. It was for me.
I mean, there's only an 8 hours difference in time here or something like that. No big deal.
It's only 8 hours.
Right. Explain to me, okay? Because I had a look at it, and it's 2-1 to them. Okay. Right. Here we go. Here we go.
I promised you a bracket. I got you a bracket.
Okay, so it's 2-1 to them.
Playoff 3, simple as that. Yeah.
Nobody's sweeping in the first round. There's no sweeps going to happen now.
Which is which I was very surprised with the Toronto Sens series. I was really expecting a sweep in that series. Honestly,
they held on just to make sure that they lose in the 5th.
Okay, so do you now understand how the playoffs work, Mark?
Right. Okay. Yes, slightly. Yes and no. Yeah, sort of. We're going to go with yes, okay? But my question is, where it says M1, the Capitals and the Habs, they say that the next round after that, they're going to be playing, I want to say the Hurricanes. I don't know who that is.
It'd be the winner. So the M, the C, the A, and the P are divisions. Your Pacific, your Central, your Atlantic, and your Metropolitan Division. 2 of them are in the East, 2 of them in the West. It's how you place in your standings, right?
Yeah.
And your top 3 teams come out, and then there's 2 wild card positions. Again, it used to be a lot simpler when it was just your top 8 teams from each conference went to the playoffs. It was much easier a few years ago. And then your wild cards slip into the Habs are the worst wild card team, so they play the best team in the East, which is the Capitals. And then the Sens.
The next round, if the Habs win, let's say they win, okay? Let's say they pull off the miracle on Sesame Street and they win it. Do they then play the swirly twats that's below them down below, or do they play the Hurricane?
It's literally the playoff tree you see here. The Capitals or the Canadians, whoever wins, will play either the Hurricanes or the Devils.
Right. See, simple. That's what I like.
It's just getting there that's not simple.
It's setting up the brackets is the complicated part. How they do it is, again, it's if you just think of each bracket as its own thing, it's best versus worst in each bracket. Yeah. Each four brackets.
Just a quick shout out because Bob Smokes is in the chat and he's saying, "Let's go Winnipeg Jets." Again, they're up 3-1? 3-1 for Bob Smokes' Winnipeg Jets.
2-1 right
because
now.
2-1, okay. But because Calgary's not in this, I got my brother's back, and I'm going.
Oh, you're not joining me and Mark cheering for the Habs?
Hell no, fuck the Habs.
Oh, boo. Boo.
Bastard, Bobby.
Just because you guys picked wrong.
I was born.
You want.
I didn't get a chance. I didn't get a choice.
Bob Smokes has been my brother in arms for 8 years now. If Calgary ain't in there, I'm sticking with Winnipeg.
Yeah, I didn't get a choice. I was indoctrinated into being a Habs fan from birth. Mark had a choice.
I chose this.
It's like Mark said, he was indoctrinated to be a Reading fan since birth. I was indoctrinated to be a Habs fan.
Actually, I was indoctrinated to be a Liverpool fan. I was a Liverpool and Arsenal fan, but I moved to Reading and I made the right choice by not supporting them. Who wants league title wins and Champions League football when you can just watch your club crumble? That's
right. That's why I've loved Manchester United so much more in the last 10 years than I did previous to that.
Right. Okay. So it makes more sense now. I've just been looking at that.
It tells you're a true fan if you love your team even when they suck. Because I've loved the Habs my entire life, and outside of them winning a Stanley Cup when I was 5, and I barely remember that, they have not had other than 2021 where they went to the finals and got whumped by the Bolts. But
so this is a best of 7 series. That's
every round best of 7. Yeah.
So by the time we come back for next episode, we could potentially have seen that Habs gone.
I think by next week, the round 1 will be done.
Yeah,
the way the game
Sunday.
Most of the rest of the game 4 is played today.
Yeah, they got 11:30 my time is the Habs game.
4:30 my time. Yeah. Yep. I'm going to Peggy's house because I went to Peggy's house on Friday for game 3 and we won. So I have to go back to Peggy's today.
Yeah, you have to keep up with that tradition. Right, okay. So, fuck NFL. We'll talk Shadir Sanders in a minute. But I want to go and ask, are you both superstitious regarding your team?
Yes. 2021, I had pretty much watched almost every, other than the games I was at work for, and when the Habs were in the Stanley Cup finals, or were in the Stanley Cup. Other than the games I had to work, because, a job, you can't really do anything about that, right? I was on shift work, my schedule was changing constantly. Outside of that, I watched every game with my dad. And then in the Stanley Cup finals, I decided on game 1 to go watch it with my buddy. Yeah, and then they lost. I think they won 1 game that entire round. But the Bolts were a far superior team. The Habs were in that Stanley Cup final by pure luck. That season was just a pure. We were riding on the back of our goaltender and pretty much destroyed him because he hasn't played in years. But yeah.
No, that was your fault. You just so I have 2 superstitions, right? I have a Reading one and I have an England one when it comes to major tournaments. My Reading one is any piece of clothing I put on the day of the game, my right side has to go in that clothing first. So if I put a sock on, my right foot has to go in first. Right leg of my trousers, or as you call it, pants, or my t-shirt has to have my right arm go in first. When it comes to England, my wife is not allowed in the room. Because every time, no, this is no joke, and we literally tested this during one of the England games, right? She stepped foot into the room in one game. No. She's allowed in the room if she doesn't talk. If she talks, we've worked this out. When she talked last time, the opposition scored 2 goals. And I said to her, right, don't talk, only at halftime or full time. And when she didn't talk, we won every single game. And she was in the room. She has to sit on a certain seat in the living room, and I have to sit in a certain position. I can only sit down. This is how bad I get during World Cups and Euros. I can only sit down on my chair after 10 minutes into the game. It gets bad for me during major tournaments.
I don't have superstitions, but I can't sit still during games and stuff like that too. Like
Yeah.
I find it difficult to kind of stay seated if I'm watching a major game that I'm into. Like again, like that one you're talking about when I watched the Europa League game, and I was messaging you that whole time. I was up, I was down, I was in one seat, over to another seat, pacing around my living room. Like it didn't matter. There was every emotion and every bit. Like it was like I was getting exercise without needing to get exercise, because like I'm just moving around everywhere during that shit. I mean, it doesn't matter what sport it is. I don't necessarily have any personal superstitions myself or anything, but it's just one of those things. BDJ, thanks, BDJ. Yes, Bobby Munson for Prime Minister. I love it. Yes,
I'd vote for him.
I'd vote for me too.
I can't vote, but I'd vote.
Yeah. No, Canadian elections are up on Monday. I don't have time to get into the running here, my friend.
I already voted.
Maybe next time.
I voted in advance polls last weekend.
I want to say good luck to all Canadians on that front, and Australians. They are also voting this past week or the week coming up. They will also be voting as well. So good luck.
Trust me, I'm not going to get into it heavily, but no matter what Canada does, we're fucked. But moving on back to the NHL, or is NHL, or are we good? Or
we got one more thing with the NFL, and I got one topic I want to discuss on the NFL, and that is what the fuck happened to Shedon Sanders for him to be a top 10 projected pick, to then going the 144th pick in the 5th round, to then everyone coming out online saying that we've had multiple different reasons. They were scared of his father. They said that he was really unprepped for interviews going into the draft. I've seen a lot of different takes on this. And the Browns have selected, and now they've got 5 quarterbacks now. The Browns have 4 or 5.
Well, they have 5, but only 4 that they're going to they would put it on the field, because Flickface from hitting women, Deshaun Watson. He's never setting foot back on a Browns football field. You know that. I don't think he's ever going back on. But that was a giant weirdness. Like, I see what the NFL did. Do I agree with it? Not particularly. This man who skipped multiple interviews and other things. He was saying if certain teams drafted him, he wouldn't go there. He would refuse it. His father, Deion Sanders, great football player. Legendary. Is very outspoken now. And you got to look at it from just a look perspective. You have Shedeur, who already is a very outspoken player when he was playing in college and everything. Like, he was already outspoken enough there, and saying like he wouldn't accept certain teams drafting him. And already, like, from all reports that have come out, nothing official, from people that he played with in college, he is very much a locker room diva, and it's about him. It's not about the team. He very much is about how he is portrayed, how he looked. It's not about being a team player. And that's, again, I don't know. None of us know this for sure. These are all just reports of people talking. Again, nothing is. But again, if you see his, like, what the statements that he has made, saying he wouldn't accept certain teams drafting him, things like that. And I looked at it, it's like, okay, the NFL doesn't. And these teams are smart enough to go, we're not going to reward a person that's being this douchey with the first round. He should have been a second round pick. He shouldn't have gone any later.
He should have been the first round pick. But to be fair,
100%.
If the Giants are coming to you, you're going to go Emil, or if you're going to go with somewhere like the Jags or oh god, I need to sick there thinking of the Jags.
Technically, the Jags don't need him because
no. I'm just saying. I'm just hypothetically saying that type of thing.
Sorry. The AEW Jaguars. Sorry.
Also quite funny that WWE played AEW in football between Fulham and Bournemouth won, which made me laugh.
What? I don't know that team.
WWE have a sponsorship with Bournemouth with their WWE 2K25, and Fulham are owned by the AEW owner, the Khan family. Where
I knew the flagship was.
Yeah. They're owned by Papa Khan. Let's get
but Tony's the sporting director.
He's director of football.
Because Daddy inserts him into everything. It's all Daddy's money. Let's not kid ourselves.
You can't say that because then the internet has a meltdown.
They have a meltdown. It's his inheritance for the nothing he's done to earn it. Yes, the spoon-fed bitch got his money from his daddy. Sorry.
So if you look at go back to the NFL before Bobby gets us cancelled. No, that's my job. Bobby, do not take my job. I'm the reason why we will get cancelled. It will be on me, no one else. Anyway. So next season, the Cleveland Browns
first overall pick. I gotta say, it's Jacksonville's first overall pick and Travis Hunter.
Yeah,
dude.
Yeah, but they didn't do much else.
He's a dual-sided player. He plays defense. Dude, this guy is going to be special for this Jaguars team. I just hope Trevor Lawrence can actually throw it to him.
Yeah. So next season, Cleveland Browns will have Shador Sanders, Deshaun Watson, Joe Flacco, and Kenny Pickett as their 4 quarterbacks going into the new season. One of them's going. Is it going to be the £50 million a year quarterback that you're paying and you still have to pay? You've got Joe Flacco that's just come from the Colts after free agency after a year there. You've got Kenny Pickett, who was with the Steelers, then went to the Eagles for the Super Bowl run that they had, and now he's gone to the Browns. Then they got Shador Sanders. I have no idea.
I have a feeling. Kenny's because I don't right with Deshaun Watson's press, his injuries. The Browns are stuck with that contract. They're not fielding him. It's just if they do, they're insane. So my feeling right now, as I look at this right now, being that he didn't get picked in the 5th round, I don't think they're starting Shador this year, or they're starting him off the hop. He could end up playing this year. I don't think as the full-time starter, but he could get snaps this year. I feel that you have Kenny Pickett as your starter, Joe Flacco as your number 1 backup, with Shador as your other option backup. That's my feeling on the depth chart. Now, if Shador shows up and subs being a prima donna asshole and shows up and decides maybe I'm not special. I'm not as special as I thought I was, and want to show up and be a team player, I could easily see him taking that starting job, especially with it being Kenny Pickett and Joe Flacco. He could easily take a starting job from either one of those two, because he is, by style, he is a far superior quarterback than both of them. I think Cleveland needs to realize they need to put him in his place. They already showed it to him by not getting good at the round, but they need to say, yeah, dude, you need to sit for a bit.
Yeah, but I want to give as well. Miami had actually did a good draft for once in their fucking life. Kenneth Grant, defensive tackle for Michigan, 300-pound big boy to be there, as well as Jordan Phillips, another defensive tackle, a guard as well, who is apparently one of the best guards, and everyone was really hyping him up as well. Jason Marshall as the cornerback, Dante Trader Jr. As well, along with Ollie Gordon, the second running back, Quinn Evans from Texas as a quarterback, going to be a backup for Tua, and by the other guy that was traded from the Jets, I can't remember his fucking name now, as well as Zeke. Biggers was also drafted to the team. I don't know. There's a lot of stuff coming out about Miami at the moment, with Hills saying he might stay, he might go. You've got Jalen Ramsey, who was a big pick that we traded for from the Rams, has now said that he won't ever play under Mike McDaniels again. A big boy, so he might be gone. I don't know whether this is going to be a rebuilding year or we can get those. We need that better offensive line. We need a better defensive line, and we've done that in the draft. A couple more additions, and I will be going playoff run. But as Ed said earlier on, he said the Pats have had a great offseason with the free agencies and the draft picks they've got. You've got the Bills that are just happy to get rid of people, and you've got a quarterback whose wife has just been in one of the biggest movies and everyone's talking about it in it as well, bigger than what he can ever fucking do. He can't even beat Patrick Mahomes. Yeah, but he can't beat Patrick Mahomes, so it's even better.
True.
Oh, fuck the Bills. So
I'm
excited.
Man Bears.
Man
Bears.
But you've got the Bears that have had a really good draft pick as well. They've got a new system. Caleb
Seth Rollins in the third round.
Carrying everyone. You got Jimmy.
Second round. See that promo he cut on Green Bay?
It was brilliant.
Was so sweet.
And then on day 3, Jimmy Uso turned up for the 49ers. He did the pick for them.
I haven't watched it. I didn't see anything from day 3.
Yeah, Jimmy Uso turned up for the 49ers.
They couldn't afford the popular twin, so they took the other one.
the Yeet boy was off celebrating his world championship. So.
Yeah, they didn't have world championship money, so they took his twin.
Yeah, the NFL's that is so much poor. It's so poor they couldn't afford it. That's why.
Yeah,
the Bears have visionary money. That's why they can get Seth Rollins.
Well, if they wanted real money, they would have got CM Punk. Anyway.
Yeah, it's funny because they got the dude, but it's funny they got the dude from Iowa who is a giant Bears fan to make the pick over CM Punk, who is from Chicago, who is a Bears fan, which is fun.
But to be fair, CM Punk has come out on multiple occasions and said the owners of the Chicago Bears need to retire or go away or sell it. He actually said it in an interview on ESPN. I remember going,
He sounds like an English football fan I know.
Yeah, he does. He went on ESPN and he turned around to the owners, to the team, and he went, I will pay $2 to the whole of Chicago Bears organization to take it over, and I will win because these idiots at the top don't know what they're doing. And I went, yeah, you're not invited to anything anymore now. You're not being invited to anything. But yeah.
I'm happy because the first overall pick for the Commanders was Josh Connolly Jr., offensive tackle. Just that much more protection for Jaden Daniels, baby.
Yeah, but what about your actual team, the Cardinals?
Oh, my team.
Yeah, there we go.
Your actual team, the Cardinals.
You're only forcing me into that. I don't give a shit about the Cardinals anymore.
You picked them first, so that's the ride or die for life.
They picked up a defensive tackle, good because they need to shore up their defensive
Stop
line.
Googling it. Stop Googling like you know what you're doing.
I'm looking. I literally don't know what Cardinals picked. I didn't pay attention.
Well, you should know. That's your team.
He's paying attention to my team because he knows we're going to beat him. So that's why he's already jumping on board. He's conceding to me before we even start the NFL season. So he's just like, you know what, Bobby's right. He's got it. So gotta jump on board with it.
People at home who were here last season for the NFL may know this, but if you're new around here, we do a predictions at the end of Sunday show when the NFL season's on. I won it because I'm the king. And now next season, what we've decided to add a little bit of spice with that, a little bit of Salt Bay in it, on it, where each person who has a team has to support them no matter who they're playing against. That's their pick in that game.
That's going to screw you so bad this season.
Right.
Miami,
Mark, you're going to have a loss almost every
week. You get like last place this time around.
Yeah. Oh, I'm fully expecting myself. But we're also doing fantasy football this year as well. I think Andre.
I'll have that league set up very soon.
Cool.
Yahoo Fantasy should be opening in the next week or so.
Can you make sure when you set the league up it's international? It's not North American based. Make sure it's international. I can join.
Yahoo should be already international because I was playing with somebody who was
I just want to make
from
sure.
outside of North America last year.
Yeah,
but I will make sure there's a setting.
So what Andre doesn't realize is Bobby team is the Commanders. So he has the Commanders. Ed will have the Pats. I will have the Dolphins. The viewers will have, and you have the Cardinals, and the viewers will have Seattle because SGG is the only one that turns up regularly.
Well, he's the leader of the chat. That's
right. Because he's not here. Do we make them have the Dallas Cowboys just for fun?
You just so that you can actually get one place ahead.
Yes.
Boys, Fantasy Football League creation is open. I can officially create our.
There it is.
Here we go.
It is.
We got to pick a time as well when we actually do our draft pick that it's live on the show.
That won't be till
the
actual draft won't be till August. But
if we do it, when we do it, we should do it live on the show where we do our draft pick. I think that could be a lot of fun.
Yep, I think that's a great idea. But boys, kind of getting into overtime here, I would say. Definitely into overtime. So why don't we go ahead and say our goodbyes? We'll start with that beautiful man down below. His name's Andre. Where could the people find you? What you got going on?
It's Twitter.
Hold on. No. You cheat and you'll win every game. No. Go away. You have the Cowboys or nothing.
But yeah, you can find me on X and Blue Sky at the Can, TikTok, Instagram, and Threads at that Can Dude. You can find me here on Sundays doing this. Next weekend, you'll actually see me seeing a double shot of me next weekend here on OLE because I'll be here for the point of view in the morning, and then me and Ed at some point later that day. At some point, we're going to be doing Thunderbolts. Because I'm going to see it with Peggy on Thursday and seeing it some point that weekend. We're doing Sunday. I don't know if Bobby's going to show up if he goes to see it before we do the review. I don't know if he will, but we'll see.
That's next Sunday. You guys are doing that, right?
Next Sunday, yeah.
Okay, good. Then I didn't need it on the calendar yet. It's on next calendar.
Yeah. It's on whatever calendar you put this show next week on.
Perfect. So next calendar. Yeah. I did not screw up.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah, so we'll be back. You'll see a double shot of me next weekend for point of view at Marvel Talk as we do Thunderbolts in the sometime that day. I don't know. We haven't set a time. We'll figure it out. I'll let you know next Sunday morning what time we'll be on for Marvel Talk that day because it might be a back to backer. We don't know depending on how Ed is.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Well.
Oh yeah. So you check me out there and yeah. If you're in the Edmonton area, come out. I'll be at RCW on the 10th of May. So come hang out with me and the Horde as we watch some indie wrestling. And then on the what's the date? The Friday the 16th of May. I will be in Moose Jaw, Saskatchewan, as I'm going to see the new promotion popping up down there, Reaper Wrestling, along with Mel Ball, Nate, and my buddy Adam. We're going to be driving out for that. So if you are down in southern Saskatchewan, and you want to check out some pro wrestling, come and you want to see me or Mel Ball, come check out Reaper. We'll be there. We're going to watch it, and we'll be driving back through Saskatoon on the Saturday, so I might have to make a stop there.
All right, sounds good. Mark, how about yourself? Where are you going to be at and what you got coming
up? This week we have got the Football Manager, where we're coming to the end of the season, where we have got semi-final day for you today, where we have got semi-final day was yesterday in the FA Cup and the Champions League as well. So we're coming to the end of that season. Bobby already knows what happens at the end of that season, and I'm probably going to need Bobby again next Sunday to review the season after. But on Mark Talks Wrestling, we're coming to the end of Battleground, where we are doing the final match here tonight, where we've got Randy Orton versus the Ring General Gunther in a WWE Championship match. And I think, if I remember correctly, on that match as well, we have Jacob Fatu versus Bronson Reed in a steel cage match. Also as well, coming up in the week, there is a problem with Roman Reigns that is happening over on NXT. WWE Raw has a problem with putting on fucking great matches, and it's irritating me how close they are when I have to play them. And SmackDown has a problem with The Rock. So make sure you go and check that out next week for that as well. But the week after, I will be returning to NXT. I won't be returning to NXT because Yes, I will be returning the week after. Lauren is going on a hiatus, and I will be taking over from that. But Bobby, what have you got coming up, Sunshine?
Well, I mean, aside from your 2K universe, where the biggest problem that is going on with my current state of things is my matches are that awesome and that close. But that's all coming up more on Mark's channel, of course, right here on OLE Podcast. You can catch me Thursday night with Papa Spokes. We're going to be doing Ring Respect Radio this week. You know, believe it or not, I think we're going to be talking about PPW, the results of each of the matches, who was there, talk about the debut of Rose, talk about Tyler Adams making his way back, the tag division, everything. I might even have some highlights of that chaotic ladder match for you ready by Thursday night. So stay tuned for that. You can also catch me and Papa Spokes every Saturday afternoon, bringing you a new match from the Prairie Pro Wrestling Vaults. Just this last Saturday, we had the match between our good friend Uncle Phil Deadly taking on T.Y. Jackson in a great competitive match between the two of them. Yes, though, check that out as well. You can catch the replay of what just went down on Friday, which was myself and Astrid with the latest edition of Killer Cuts, giving you a review of the movie Companion. I also did just do a music reaction to the new song from the band Sleep Token called Damocles. It's a great, beautiful track, so go check that out as well, too. Support the band at the same time. And yeah, I think that's it for me at the moment. Not a whole lot more going on, but you never know. I might pop up with a thing or two in the meantime. But what you can do is go show some love and support to OLE Podcasts across all social media, as well as YouTube and Twitch. We got new stuff coming out on YouTube, whether it's short form content, clips, live streams just like this one, coming at you every single day on YouTube. So we have got stuff from all these great content creators from all around the globe coming at you all the time. We're going to be having the return of the Mother Tucking Post show coming up in a couple of weeks. Like Andre said, the return of Marvel Talk coming up, starring Peggy as well as himself and Ed. Is coming up as well too. So a lot of great things, if you know, depending on what your jam is. And again, as always, right back here next Sunday at 11 a.m. Eastern time for more point of view, for more of the weekend sports. But gentlemen, I think that's it for us this week. On the way out here, I am going to play the weekly calendar so people can get up to date on what we got going on. But that's going to be it for us this week on Point of View. Take care, and we'll see you in a week's time.
Never gonna stop, never gonna change, never gonna do the things you say. I run my own way to get there. Fools are calling that I don't seem to care. In the air, no more crowd, just the opposite kind of few clouds. So tell me this time is coming, for the sake of all your lies.